Hey guys, it's Angela
and Nate.
And for today's video, I thought it would be fun if we just kind of hang out, get to know us a little bit better. We got some Q&As. We also got some Korean barbecue here laid out. And we're just going to have a little chit chat in a series that we're going to call A Date with Nate. Here on my channel, I thought it would be a fun way to bring him a little bit more onto my channel. You guys really enjoyed the husband does my voice over for my makeup tutorial. If you haven't checked that out, I will link it up here and down in the description, so make sure you check that out. And yeah, we're gonna get started. We are having Korean barbecue quarantine edition because we are not allowed to be out in restaurants right now. So I bought all the supplies for a little quarantine Korean barbecue home edition. And we got like a little hot griddle here. We're gonna have some yummy, tasty.
We're gonna get started with kind of a remix on a very popular Korean cocktail called somak, which is a combination of the Korean words for soju and beer. Soju is like a kind of like a weak vodka, but
Made with rice.
Made with rice rather than potatoes. When I say weak, it's about 20 to 30 proof, not percent. Although they make much more powerful, much stronger soju. The stuff you're going to get in bottles like this, it's going to be like half the strength of a cheap vodka. They mix that with beer, and then the way we remix it, we actually learned from my friend Subin, who also has a YouTube channel. I'll have Angela link her YouTube channel down below. But we add what is called Chill Sung cider. This is a little can of it here. It is delicious. The closest thing the US has to it is Sprite. I don't know why they call it cider. It's not derived from fruit, to my knowledge, in any version of the... It is pretty much Sprite. It's very good. It's very refreshing. It sounds really weird mixing a weak liquor, a beer, and a soda, but it works, I promise. Everyone gives me a weird look, and then they try it, and then they're drunk. Something about soju, it hits people different. Everyone is warned when they come to Korea that soju has this weird effect on people that you can drink and drink and drink soju and feel fine as long as you're sitting down, and then you stand up. And then you realize just how much soju you have had. So what we are doing, taking a shot glass, you're putting a shot of soju, a shot of soda. The best part has yet to come. And then you really only need to buy one beer to make this cocktail. If any of you aren't familiar with me, I am a 6'1" dude, and I have large hands for a 6'1" dude, and this is the size of the beer. But you are going to then fill the rest of your glass pretty much about equal parts with the beer. So I'm not going to fill this glass. If you're in a Korean restaurant, you're not going to get a full rocks glass like this. You're going to get a little kind of a water cup. Then the piece de resistance, you're going to take a spoon, put it on the bottom, get a nice firm grip, and give it a little tap. I have no idea why I do that, other than Subin taught me like that. My assumption is that it actually releases those bubbles in the beer and kind of gets everything mixed in and tasting good. Gonbae.
Cheers, baby. Yum.
Something else to remember, obviously you can kind of tell by the color. Koreans don't drink very dark beers. Typically, all of their beers are a little bit lighter, on the lighter side. So it's not a strong beer flavor at all.
So like I said, we got some questions. And the first question comes from my daddy. He wants to know, what are you two up to, is his wording. So what are we up to? What's been new with us? While we answer, I'm going to start putting the meat on the griddle.
So what's new with us? Not a whole lot. It's hard to start something new with COVID. Angela's definitely gotten heavy into this YouTube channel. A lot of videos on the way, and a lot of videos have just been posted recently. I've definitely invested in my computer setup and my whole office, and I've been streaming. So I've almost kind of gotten to the point where I feel complete, and I can focus more on doing what I want with the computer rather than building more into it and putting more money into it. I'm right at the point that I'm probably changing jobs soon for the Army. I can't say what job I'm going to be doing for YouTube, but it's kind of been a few years in the works for me to get to this point and hopefully be able to and be qualified to accept this job that I really want. We're kind of like almost to that mountaintop of knowing whether or not that's going to happen, and that is going to really influence what we plan the next few years of our life to be.
Yeah. So yeah, like Nate said, there's a lot of things that are kind of in the works, but nothing like set in stone at this time. As far as the YouTube stuff, I am really enjoying learning different things. I hope you guys are noticing like quality is getting better, editing is getting more advanced. I'm enjoying it. It's a creative outlet for me. I don't know if everybody knows this, but I'm a very creative person. I need some sort of artistic avenue in my life constantly, and YouTube definitely does that for me. And I really like to hear feedback from you guys and what you enjoy watching, what you enjoy seeing, all of that stuff. So that's pretty much what we're up to.
As for Evie, let's not exclude a family member.
Where is she?
She was just up here. She recently got a new cat bed, and Angela will put a picture of her looking like a cute little cinnamon bun up on screen for you. And we did that because, oddly enough, the closest thing to a cat bed she had, now she has a big cat tree that's right behind me on the other side of the glass that overlooks a golf course. So don't start thinking she's neglected, because it's the opposite.
She's got the best view in the house.
Yeah. But the closest thing she could kind of sleep on, other than the bed, which I toss and turn a lot, and she's fidgety about that, but she would sleep on the bath mat across the hall in front of my shower. And I always felt bad that she kind of slept in the bathroom, and I don't know if it's because the bath mat was the kind of the same size and shape as one of her previous cat beds before we came to Korea. So we went ahead and got the cat bed, and now she sleeps right next to me, right in front of my end table, when she's not on the bed. She still gets on the bed sometimes, but she has somewhere to go where we're not going to roll over and hit her in the middle of the night. So my idea for this was kind of do like food question and then Q&A question, right? Because I know a lot of you haven't had Korean barbecue. Maybe you've had it in the States. I actually haven't had it in the States, so I don't know how true to form it stays. Korean barbecue comes down to kind of two simple things. You're going to grill meat at the table. You may have a waiter type person, a restaurant employee, helping you or doing most of the grilling. That's not typically the case. We go to a couple restaurants that if the cooks or the wait staff are not very busy, they'll help us just because they're bored, or sometimes they assume we don't know how to properly do it because we're American.
That turned out better this time.
Right now we've got some thick pork belly. Basically it's really thick bacon. I'm not talking like your thick cut, hickory bacon or whatnot. It's a solid about an inch thick.
Half an inch to an inch.
Yeah. It's got a lot of fat on it, but it's also got, the pork meat. It's probably the most popular thing for Americans to enjoy over here in Korea. And I'm no exception. I definitely like a lot of the other Korean food, especially stuff that other Americans might not even try. See our other video from
Jagolchi Fish Market.
Jagolchi Fish Market and eating the not live octopus, barely dead octopus.
It was sashimi style, so basically they chopped it up and served it to us.
Yeah,
no cooking.
yeah, they put it on a butcher block,
Just go
chopped its legs off.
Go watch the video. I'll link that down in the description as well.
Poured some oil and I put it in my mouth, and it was creepy and weird, but it was a cool experience, and that's what we're here about. So yeah, we got the pork on the grill, and then later on we can start explaining some like side dishes that we enjoy and some other techniques and stuff.
So speaking of South Korea, someone asked, what is the biggest challenge to adapting to life in South Korea?
Do you want me to answer first or you? Because I know mine.
What's yours?
My biggest adaptation / frustration, because that's probably kind of what people are asking about, is your inability to communicate with like your typical customer service. Mm-hmm. So if you need something changed on like a basic fast food order, in America you can just say, hey, no cheese, or maybe you have like an allergy to seeds. I was reading about this the other day, and you request a seedless bun or 2 bottom buns, whatever, so you don't get the sesame seeds. It's very difficult to communicate like that here. That's kind of my frustration, is having that language barrier to not be able to ask questions, and interrogate further into the good or service I'm trying to get. The other thing is just products we're used to that it's hard to get a hold of over here. The AFES system only carries certain products.
That's for people who don't know, AFES is our on-post shopping.
Yeah, it's everything from America I can buy on post on the installation. That company or that distributor or whatever has a deal with AFES. And if a product you love doesn't have some agreement to be sold in the Army's stores, you have to have it shipped here. And not all things can be shipped here. Like, we had some issues. You're not supposed to ship like lithium-ion batteries. I use Harry's, sponsorship maybe someday. I can have the razor heads, the refills shipped here. But I just out of convenience would order the shaving cream with it all, and I can't have an aerosolized or whatever pressurized can basically shipped through the APO system, Army Post Office system. So I just can't use that product until I get back home, and that was something. I'm kind of a guy stuck in my ways. I'm very habitual. I think that's my biggest frustrations and adaptations I've had to deal with.
So for me, the biggest adaptations was parking. Not necessarily driving in Korea, because street laws and rules and how they've constructed their roads and their signs and stuff like that are based off of ours, and very similar to the way we have our stuff. So there was no, and they drive on the same side like we do and all that. A little bit of changes, but nothing too major that you can't learn very quickly. It's a country the size of Indiana with a population of 50 million and growing. So lots of traffic. And because there's lots of traffic, there is not a lot of parking. So learning to accept that you're not going to be able to just pull up to a store and park necessarily. You're going to have to do on-street parking, or you're going to have to carpool or take a taxi, any type of public transportation when you're allowed. And yeah, that was like one of the biggest challenges for me. I definitely have gotten way more comfortable with parallel parking, first of all. Backing up. We have a rear view camera on our car, and I don't think I could ever have a car without a rear view camera now. I'm a little spoiled. That was one thing that I had to adjust to.
So back to our meal. You'll see these little dishes. on the table at Korean barbecue restaurants. Because one thing about Korean barbecue, a lot of people actually refer to it as beef and leaf, and kind of the traditional way of eating it is you're gonna get a little piece of meat. It's all cut up by scissors into bite-sized pieces. You're gonna put that piece of meat in a leaf, and then whatever sides, I don't remember the Korean word for all of them, it's gonna go in the leaf with it. So you might add some kimchi, some rice. We got some onions with onion sauce here in front of me. She can talk about that later because that's her thing. We've got those some garlic here. Koreans like to eat the raw garlic. We like to put it on the grill. They definitely like it too. They showed us how to do that. These are massive, so I actually cut them in half. So we have the garlic cloves here. I've got salt in this as well. We happen to have pink Himalayan salt. They usually just have your table salt. We enjoy the completely unseasoned meat, so we kind of have that open blank canvas to make stuff with. We like to just dab a little bit of salt on the meat right before we put it on the leaf or put it in our mouth. And then this is a fermented bean paste. So a paste made out of fermented beans. A lot of you might be disgusted by it. It's freaking delicious. So yeah, you just take a dab. A little bit goes a long way.
It's actually too much.
Some people will glob it on. Most Koreans will literally put like a pea size on a real big bite. We can go through a lot of it at one meal, but absolutely delicious. Anything fermented is good for you. So yeah, that's the next part of our meal.
So another way that we eat this is you get your leaf. This is why they call it beef and leaf. Get your pork.
This is pork.
Yeah. Get your pork, which I'm going to dab a tiny bit of salt. Get a little bit of that bean paste, and you just kind of load it up with whatever toppings you want. I put a little piece of garlic in there. I'm going to put a little bit of my onion in there. And sure, we're going to put a little bit of my rice in there too. And then you just kind of fold it up into a ball or burrito and take a bite.
So one thing, these are kind of little leaves. You usually get bigger ones in a restaurant, but ideally you're gonna eat the whole thing in one bite, no matter how big you want to make it. But it is acceptable to have it in 2 bites, but it's not gonna be something you're getting like 2 leaves in one meal and just taking little bites out of. That's not how they do.
Sticking with the South Korea stuff, what do we like most about South Korea? There's definitely more that we like about South Korea than what we don't like about South Korea. It's beautiful here. So if you're from Ohio, it's climate-wise, it's very similar to Ohio. A little bit more humid and definitely more rainy during the summer, but beautiful. Tons of mountains. So I definitely like that it reminds me of home. I enjoy discovering things and going places when we're allowed and finding new places. I'm hoping that we are allowed to start exploring again because I want to continue to go to the national parks. What else do we like about South Korea? We love the food.
I was going to say, we're sitting here eating a Korean meal and you're not going to mention food.
We love the food of South Korea. They do like spice. Forewarning, my spice tolerance has definitely gone up since living in South Korea. I mean, for example, I used to hate onions. I'm sitting here eating this onion dish, which I'll tell you about in a second. Yeah, we love the food. We definitely love exploring different things. What do you love about South Korea other than the food? Nate loves the food of South Korea. Like, if I cooked South Korean food every single night for him, I think he would be okay. Other than he would want a steak like once a week.
There's definitely like a respect, a lot of respect that goes deep into their culture from a younger person to an older person, and not necessarily like an elderly person, but If a teenager is approached by, someone in their 30s, there's automatic respect, and it's very faux pas to have anything except that.
One thing I love about Koreans is they are super nice. I've never been like judged by one or anything.
As with any country, there's always the people, the nationals are going to have issues with how the country's ran or, this or that. But at the end of the day, they love Korea.
They love their country.
Because this tiny peninsula is the only place in the world where Koreans come from. Europeans have all of Europe. North Americans have all of North America. Koreans only have this tiny peninsula. And it has some crazy rich history. I love the history here. It's not something you're going to learn a lot about in an American school.
It has a long history.
And they are proud of their country, and they enjoy it. And if us as Americans make any attempt to learn about their culture and their language
or their history,
yeah. They love it.
Yeah.
Just learning the very few Korean words, they get impressed. Every time we go to any sort of museum, national park, anything that is kind of Korea specific, you can just see the joy in their eyes that an outsider is taking interest and making an effort to educate themselves on Korea. And that's inspirational.
Yeah. And even going smaller than that with restaurant owners.
Yeah.
Like our very first time we ever ate Korean barbecue, we sat down and we're like, we knew about Korean barbecue because we watched YouTube videos and we kind of researched before we moved here. But we were like, okay, what do we do?
Oh, we were lost.
Yeah. And the owner was so sweet. She came over. She was like, okay. And she spoke really great English. Thank you. Because it was our first week here. And she was like showing us how to cut it. You can actually watch that on our first week here in South Korea video. And yeah, she kind of taught us a lot. You just see their pride and their joy, which makes you excited to be here and to learn and to just take it all in. So that's one of the things I think we both really enjoy about South Korea.
My first weekend here, and we escaped to Seoul. We weren't supposed to. Didn't know that at the time.
Yeah, no one told us to happen.
Yeah, we were informed after we came back that we weren't allowed to go. But not because of COVID, because of rules. We found this tiny, dinky little hole-in-the-wall restaurant, not much bigger than the balcony we're filming this on, honestly, and not much more seating, or legroom, for that matter. It was the type of place that American tourists don't typically go. We went on my suggestion of, there were a lot of elderly Koreans in there, and I said, if you have that many elderly people in a restaurant, chances are it's either really cheap, absolutely delicious, or a combination thereof. And I would say it was a combination thereof. Little did we know, because we didn't read the menu, couldn't read the menu.
Yeah, because we're in the back alley of a market.
Yeah.
Like the back alley of a market.
When I say hole in the wall, I don't mean like dingy. I mean, it could have literally been a hole in the wall that you walked past.
And they put a restaurant.
Yeah.
Most of the restaurant was actually outside.
Right. They did the cooking outside.
Yeah.
On a giant griddle. And it was intestines. I believe pig intestines.
Yes, it was pig intestines.
Yeah.
I remember.
And again, not something very tourist friendly, particularly not American friendly. An ex-Katusa, which is a Korean soldier that works with/for the American Army, and speaks fluent English. They're tested on it to be accepted into the Katusa program. Guy was probably in his 60s or 70s. Mm-hmm. So he still spoke fluent English, and he thought it was the absolute coolest thing that we were there. And then, asking us how long we had been in Korea, and at that point, the answer was around 48 hours. So he asked us how long we had been here, And the answer was about 48 hours. And, not only was this not a very tourist-friendly spot, definitely not a tourist who was there for, less than a couple days. And that was my introduction to Korea. That man bought us some soju. We drank soju in the traditional manner with him. We ate some... I ate some intestines with him.
I ate the noodles.
He told us a lot about Korea, but to see someone that excited for you to be there, who wasn't expecting you to be there,
Yeah. And he
total stranger, never talked to him prior to that or after that.
Yeah.
But probably a memory I'll keep for a very long time of meeting this stranger who was just so happy to show me his culture.
Yeah.
And
excited that we were so eager to actually be out and just doing something that he's like, oh yeah, I'll show you everything. So it was awesome. So the next question is, what do we miss most about the U.S.? For me, I miss two things. I miss friends and family, specific individual ones for sure. And I miss specific stores. I miss my TJ Maxx. I miss my Home Goods. I miss my Target. Yeah. I miss my Joann Fabrics. Oh, yeah, I really miss my Joann Fabrics. So yeah, I would say those are the non-materialistic things I miss and the materialistic things I miss. What do you miss about the U.S.?
One thing I miss a lot, and this probably sounds a little weird, but craft beer and hard cider. It doesn't really exist in Korea. They have a couple craft beers. For those who aren't aware, we're from Ohio, which is top tier craft beer state. And then hard cider. It exists here, but again, in very small quantities, very limited availability. You have to really search for it. Oh, and unblocked freaking internet. For those who don't know, Asia likes to tweak their internet here and there. The US has just started doing it. I'm tracking all that. Cool, right? It sucks. But there's a lot of stuff that's blocked here. And then there's a lot of websites where it's not blocked, but the website just says it's not available in this country.
Like something as simple as Target, because Target doesn't ship to South Korea, but so Target ships to the APO.
Right, but because our internet registers as Korean, it won't even let you on the website. It would be one thing to have a page pop up say, shipping not available in your country, but we have to have a VPN, turn on the VPN, and then reload the website. There's other stuff where it's like, I think I was dealing with the Ohio tax website, and you couldn't get onto the website because it was Korean internet.
Yeah.
So there's
we were trying to take care of our taxes.
Yeah. Super frustrating running into that kind of stuff. So I definitely miss just having untampered with internet. On the flip side of that, American internet service providers suck for $60, $64 a month. I get 100 megabits per second upload and 100 megabits per second download speed. So both ways, which you won't see in America. And that is a bad deal in Korea. It's because we got a crappy contract on post. Living off post, that would be not even a competitive price or speed. Gigabit internet is common in Korea proper, but I'll take what I can get. I get very fast tampered with internet connection. And then, just playing games I like with my friends, especially during these COVID times. Playing online games with friends, there's just paying out the wazoo, the ass. Some games are just unplayable for us. Games that, rely on that reaction.
Okay, so a little bit about what we're eating. The onion dish that I keep mentioning and Nate's mentioned. It's literally just slivered, thin sliced onions. And then it's equal parts of water, sugar, rice vinegar, and soy sauce. So for this much, I did about 3 tablespoons each. So 3 tablespoons of sugar, 3 tablespoons of water, 3 tablespoons of rice vinegar, and then 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. And you mix the sauce up real good. Make sure the sugar is all dissolved. And then you pour it over top. And it kind of like pickles, ferments the onion. And they're like pickled onions, basically. Guys, I don't typically like raw onions in the States, but I eat these by the bowlful when we go out in restaurants and stuff like that. So good. That's my second time making them at home too, and they turned out even better. So another question that we were asked is, where would we want to go next? And I have 2 answers. So I have an answer for if we go back to the States, and I have an answer if we stay overseas.
I guess there's like one optimal one. I'd like to end up in Germany, but that may not be next.
Yeah.
Could be, but might not be.
Yeah, so we both agree that we would love to be in Germany at some point. We would love it if it's next, because we don't have kids. It would be easy to go. And yeah, you know, I've been to Paris and I love Europe. And I want to explore more of Europe, and we both have a lot of European roots, and so to be able to explore those areas, hopefully with better worldly conditions and not a pandemic going on. And then as far as stateside, I would like to go to North Carolina.
Fort Bragg.
Yeah, Fort Bragg. And there's more places I'm willing to go to rather than I don't want to go to. I think there's really only 2 bases I don't want to go to.
Yeah, Fort Hood and Fort Hood.
Well, Fort Hood, and I don't prefer Fort Sill.
Yeah.
I will make the most of Fort Sill, but I have no like real desire for that base. That's pretty much it. Fort Sill is in Oklahoma and Fort Hood is in Texas, in case you didn't know. What, if we could buy one thing from Ikea right now, what would it be?
A bigger desk for me.
For me, it would be a new entertainment stand. That'll happen when we move back to the States though. If I could buy one makeup product, what would it be? And it would be tied between either the RCMA palette. It's a cream palette that a lot of professional makeup artists use. It's like upwards of $150. You use it for contour, concealer, foundation. I want it. That or a Natasha Denona palette, but I'm not sure which Natasha Denona palette I would want. So yeah, those are what I would. And then video gaming, what is something you would want?
So I'm really looking forward to the Horizon Forbidden West on PC. Gonna be beautiful. I absolutely loved the first game. It was gorgeous on PS4, so I can only imagine what it's gonna look like on PC.
Current favorite item from any category? Just something you've been loving. Can you?
Current favorite item right now, I'm really enjoying having our Google Homes. So that's like multiple of the same item all around our house.
Yeah, we have 4 of them set up in our house.
But to be able to just real easily pull up my phone, cast to all of them, and have just like a house filled with music, to be able to say, you know, what, hey, so-and-so, what's the weather?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with being in Korea again, some of the capabilities are limited, but still, even just having the music is awesome when we're cleaning, when we're cooking, just chilling. Definitely when people are over.
Yeah.
To have that.
It's a vibe.
Yeah, definitely just that mood setting, smart home capability. Definitely when we get more into the smart home and we can just say, hey, so-and-so, it's bedtime, or it's time for bed, and then it turns off lights.
Yeah,
It adjusts the thermostat, stuff like that. I'm
Yeah.
super looking forward to that, and we're not even there yet, and I already love these things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I kind of have two current favorites. One, you're gonna laugh, my laptop. Nate bought me a laptop because I was using his desktop. He has a beautiful setup for his gaming PC, but for me, like, I would feel bad if I wanted to edit and he was gaming, and then if he was playing on the TV in the living room, like, I want to be with him, spending time with him. I didn't want to be in the office on the computer. So now having the really good laptop, and I can take it with me, sit next to him while he's gaming, whether it's in the living room or in the office. And then I would say makeup wise, another thing that I've really been enjoying and my favorite, probably the Raw Beauty Christie palette. I like how compact it is, and it's double-sided. You have the bright colors on one side and the neutrals. It's actually what I'm wearing today. Yeah, it's a good palette. I like taking it with me when I need to go on the go. And yeah, I would say those are my two ride or dies right now at the moment. So somebody asked us, when are we coming home? Home meaning Ohio, I'm assuming. And I think it just needs to be addressed that, you know, Nate's in the military, and so we go where his work tells us to go. We don't know when he will decide to be done with that contract, and even when he does decide to be done with this contract, he's got plans for what's to follow afterwards, and who's to say that that career and that job will take us back to Ohio. So it could be a very long time, if ever, that we live back in Ohio again. Not that there's anything wrong with Ohio. I think we both enjoy it. We appreciated our time there. It's just a matter of where and when life would take us back. Now, if you're referring to when are we coming back to the States, that's a different story. Currently at this time, we are scheduled to move out of Korea in April, but that can change. And the reason why I can say that can change is because we don't know if it's going to the States. It could possibly be going somewhere else, such as Germany, like we would like. Or something, unfortunately, could happen again, like happened to a lot of people this year. When the pandemic hit, a lot of people were put on pause. We had somebody who was supposed to leave in March and didn't leave until the 1st of August. So, you know, it's really hard to say trust me, when we know information, and when it's allowed to be shared, we will be sharing it first with our immediate friends and family, and then publicly on social media when it's appropriate to. So, and through all of the process of moving, I plan on documenting everything. I wish I would have done more when we moved here, but, you know, I didn't really have the equipment and the setup and the structure I really have now. So I look forward to all that type of footage and videos and stuff like that. So, do you have anything to add to that?
I don't think so. I would just say, like, we absolutely, like, we both enjoy Ohio. We will point out what's wrong with Ohio every day, but at the end of the day, we actually both really enjoy it. It's very familiar. Of course, it's where a lot of friends and family are. If both careers can land us in Ohio, that would absolutely be optimal. That would be, like, awesome for us. Ideally, the careers would maybe allow us to have a vacation home somewhere tropical. Unfortunately, as with many things in life, it takes hard work. We might have to make we will definitely have to make some sacrifices to get to the point of having the career we want in the location we want.
Yeah.
We just weren't handed that, we weren't dealt that hand early in life to get everything we want on the first go round. But we're working towards it. Where would you like to see yourself in the next 5 years? How about 10 or 20? 20 is insane because I'll be like damn near 50. I have no idea.
No idea. I mean,
cannot-
I'm assuming at that point we'll have children, maybe close to the point of graduating,
or you know, they might be into college.
Yeah.
But,
We'll see.
But I digress. So a lot of that is going to depend pretty much in the next 2 months.
Yeah.
And I've been saying that for like 4 months. But you know, if everything went the way I was planned, I wouldn't even be here right now. However, 5 years, ideally, I would be holding a bachelor's degree, working for one of a handful of United States 3-letter agencies. I'm not going to say which ones because that might affect my ability to get into them one day. That's kind of the point of all of this, going back to the military thing, which I don't think many people probably would have predicted for me, knowing how I felt about being in the military for my first contract. So 5 years, hopefully the next 2 months go well. I get some good answers. I spend the next like 3 or so years, 3 to 4 years, learning and training in the field. I think I can that I can best apply myself in, and then go work for a different federal job. Again, doing something similar, but on the civilian side rather than the military side, so I no longer have to do push-ups.
I just want you to. I want you to wear your suit and tie again.
Yeah.
I miss those days.
10 years, I would be 38 years old.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Sorry to anybody who's 38 years old.
So being 38 years old, 10 years, we would probably have a kid or two, ideally. You know, that's the plan, right? You know, both of us hopefully would just be in the career we want, doing that grind, that middle-age grind. Definitely, hopefully I've seen a lot more of the world at that point. 20 years, you know, it's possible I could be retired in about 17 years from now from federal service. If I do the job I want for the next 17 years and then I'm retired and, you know, after that, and I can just apply myself to whatever passion I want. Obviously, those who know me well, I definitely like the money. I like traveling. I like fancy products, you know, materialism, capitalism, all that good stuff, right? And yeah, I hope that's the life I can lead. I think that I've done probably the hardest part for me of making a lot of sacrifices to even get my foot in the door. So if these last about 2 years have not, if I find out in the next 2 months that these last 2 years have not been worth much, then it'll be discouraging, but there's plan B and C and D. But definitely plan A is kind of coming to fruition right now.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? If you would have asked me 5 years ago where you would see me in 5 years, I would have been like, I'm going to have my own business. It's going to be something bridal related. And I was super passionate about it. I still am. But here I am 5 years and I'm in South Korea.
Nobody would have called that.
Right. So,
but we love it.
Yeah, I love it. And so that's one of the biggest things I've learned is, yeah, you want to have a plan, but also be able to adapt and go with the flow. And for me to like relinquish control, because all throughout middle school and high school and then my college years, I had a plan. I saw what I wanted. I went for it. I achieved it. I got it, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that. reality smacks you upside the head time and time again, it was kind of like, well, what do I do next? So I guess in 5 years, if YouTube works out, I would like to be doing this full time. Whatever this may be. Maybe I find a very specific niche in YouTube that you guys enjoy and that I enjoy filming, and we take that avenue. I guess my answer is in 5 years I want to be my own boss. I guess that's my end goal in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years is I want to be an entrepreneur of some sort, and I want to be my own boss. I don't mind working with people, but I want to be in control, and I want to be in charge, but I also want to like not be set in some. Okay, so the last and final question was making marriage last. How do we do it? For those who don't know, we have been married for 5 years, going to be 6 years at the end of this month. And we have been together now, it will be 10 years this month as well. It's mind-blowing to me that it's been that long, because in a lot of ways it doesn't feel that long. But then to sit back and think of everything we've been through, it's like, God, how is it not longer? Like, it goes both ways. It's like, there's certain things that feel like happened yesterday, which happened 10 years ago. And then there's other things that happened 10 years ago that feel like happened a lifetime ago. So, thank you. Before we like dive into that question, thank you for a beautiful marriage and a beautiful relationship. I tell everybody all the time that it's one of the things I'm most proud of is our relationship and our marriage.
You're welcome.
I hate his cockiness. So, getting back to the question, how do we make our marriage work?
So, my top two things of why our marriage works. I would say patience on both of our parts. There's definitely been times where, as in any relationship, you want to fight about a thing. It makes you mad. I think both of us have a threshold for outbursts. We definitely bring that stuff up to each other, maybe make snide comments, smart-ass comments. But neither of us have a very low threshold for escalating. Mm-hmm. We've had very few, and I'm talking less than 10 in 10 years, screaming matches.
I would say even less than 5.
Less than 5, yeah. The screaming matches, fights, arguments. We've definitely never, prior to marriage, never said maybe we should break up. We never did the whole break up, get back together, break up, get back together. It's been, nonstop, just going steady, so I think that's definitely just having the patience and, as weird as it sounds, picking your fights. Not in that saying it's not worth it.
You gotta watch your wording as far as is it an actual argument, or is it a, hey, this upsets me, this hurt me, or
so that's
this bothers me situation.
I was gonna say, is it worth a fight? Are you gonna fight about it because you're really mad in the moment and later you'll pull down? Or is this a recurring issue that you thought maybe was going to go away, you bottled it in, and, there's an appropriate response would be getting that emotional, or maybe I've had a bad day at work and I really feel like snapping at her and just letting my anger go out of control.
Which he doesn't do, by the way.
Yeah.
I just want to make that clear.
I have the emotional strength of a boulder. Or some might accuse me of the emotional depth of a teaspoon. I promise you it's deeper. I just was raised that...
Nate knows when to show his emotions.
Yeah. If I'm showing emotion, some shit has gone awry.
Yeah.
But, yeah, definitely, like, we just know what... I feel like we both know what's worth a fight and what's worth an argument and what's, like...
worth a discussion.
Maybe I'll cool down and mention it later. And maybe it's not even worth mentioning. Maybe it's like a one-off thing and it's not even worth the argument. So, like, when I say picking your fights, that's what I mean. The other thing, a lot of couples find, like, or you're told to find, right, a person with whom we didn't try to do the opposite, but we kind of did the opposite. As far as shared interests, we have a lot of shared, like, worldly outlooks.
Yeah, we have a lot of shared morals, worldly outlooks. I would even say religious points.
Yeah,
spirituality, political, and even then, some of them don't always align, but a lot of them do. And there's certain things that he's more passionate about than I am, or vice versa. But when it comes down to interests and hobbies, there's not very many that align. I would say the only one that really does is food and travel.
Yeah, I mean, like, now she has watched all the Marvel movies, but I know especially at the beginning, and there was reluctance.
There's certain Marvel movies I resign with more than you do. Or
definitely, like, the comic book culture, video game culture.
That's him.
Our taste in movies probably couldn't be more different.
Other than the Marvel movies, probably at this point.
You know, the comedy movies that me and my friends can sit down and enjoy, and the stupid humor. We definitely, like, have to trade off of maybe watching one of my movies and then watching one of her movies, which there's a high percentage chance that it's going to be a romantic or a romantic comedy film.
So first of all, when it comes to movies, though, we'll watch like 5 of your picks before we watch one of my picks.
That's because I have good taste in films.
No, it's because, like, it's one of those things that I don't pick a fight about. Because I'll just be like, okay, well, I'm spending time with you, so I don't really say anything. But then when I say, hey, I want to watch this movie, he doesn't argue with me, and he just lets me watch my movie.
I would say decorations and, like, how we would like our life and home to look. We have found common ground. Yeah. But it doesn't overlap nearly as much as I imagine a lot of other. But on the other hand, we do share a lot. But I think that's, helped us, actually. It wasn't like in the first year we found everything we have in common, and then the next 3 years, all we found were differences. We definitely found a lot more differences in the beginning, and we were both motivated to find similarities in those type of areas. And 2, we were introduced to a lot of stuff we probably would not have been introduced to otherwise. And I think that's one of the reasons we've had the longevity we've had, is we had a lot more to discover from each other
and grow
as people, rather than just kind of being in that echo chamber for each other and then burn out after a couple of years.
Rather early on, I remember there was not an argument, but a emotional time in our lives where one of us was constantly on the go, and the other one had to be like, stop, I need you, I want you, I miss you, I love you, we need time together. And the other one had to accept that and hear that and feel their pain, basically. So time together, and understanding that there's also time, you're allowed to spend time apart. Nate has guy nights and I have girl nights and whatever.
One of us is slightly clingier than the other.
Yeah, you. And then, like, you want to hear them, you want to be compassionate to their feelings, you want to be passionate in how you feel, both good and bad, because you want to get how you feel across.
The last thing I feel like I can finish this off is respect each other. One thing neither of us do is sincerely call each other names. So she might call me an asshole or cocky or whatever, jokingly, in a fun manner. Right? You pick up on that subtext, you pick up on those nonverbal or inflections in your voice. I know when she calls me an asshole, it's like lovingly, oddly, right? But
it's usually because he's being cocky.
Yeah, but like I don't call her names in anger. She doesn't call me names in anger. I don't feel like either of us have really ever, or if we have, very few times in our relationship,
I think the extent
tried to hurt the other one.
Yeah, I think the extent I've ever called you was I said you were being a jerk.
But we don't try to hurt each other. Definitely not physically, and not, emotionally.
We've never laid hands on each other, and we never will.
I'm gonna show him by bringing up his faults. I'm not gonna call her names that I know she's very offended by.
Yeah. Ooh. Not to interrupt, but when we've resolved an issue, we've resolved an issue.
Yeah, it stays resolved.
We don't continue to bring it up in the next disagreement or fight or argument that we might have.
Yeah.
Unless
it's the same.
It's the exact same thing, and it's like, hey, we've already discussed this, why is it happening again? It's not, well, I'm mad at you now because not only did you do that we've already discussed and resolved, but I'm also mad at you for this. No, we don't play that game. You're upset with that person for the reason that you're upset with. Once it's been resolved, it's resolved. Sorry, I did not mean to interrupt you, but
that probably avoids a lot of arguments, because in most relationships, to my knowledge, many of the arguments will be about the same thing, the same behavior, related behavior, consequences of previous behavior that was argued about, those type of things. When we're mad about something, it's typically new, an issue that was so long ago that it was resolved for quite a while, and now it's coming back and it needs readdressed.
Yeah.
But, not like...
We could go more in depth about us personally, and what makes our relationship very specifically work. If you guys want to see that video, we would totally love to sit down and break down certain scenarios and stuff like that. Let us know. Comment down below.
At the end of the day, you've chosen to be with that person. Love that person. If you find yourself not loving that person for whatever reason, have a discussion before it gets ugly, before it turns into an argument, before it turns into courts and lawyers and heartbreak and all that. Be the mature. Act like you live in a society of problems. Have initiative. Has resources to get help if you guys have issues. There's marriage counselors, there's therapists, there's psychologists.
There's books, there's podcasts, there's
we live in
audio books, there's so much information out there that you can find help if you need help. And at the end of the day, it's okay to walk away if you need to.
Yeah, we've been very lucky that we got together at an early age, and I won't say it wasn't for lack of effort. We definitely had to put effort. Every relationship takes effort, but we've never forced it either. We've never stayed with the other person simply for the fact that it's more convenient or easier than breaking up or getting a divorce. there's always motivation to stay together and improve our situation and not just stay stagnant or let it spiral out of control.
Yeah. Well, I think that sums up today's video. Comment down below if you would like to see more marriage related stuff on my channel. We will definitely do more dates with Nate. They won't be all so serious or Q&As. Some of them are going to be more fun. We might do some cocktails or whatever the case may be. And also, if you want to hear our full story, let us know by commenting down below as well. If you want to find out how we got together, that whole our first date, I love sharing that story. And
thank you for joining us.
Oh yeah.
Your date with Nate. Hope you enjoyed having me on the channel. Thanks for watching. And yeah, I think the only thing I would add for commenting down below is, would you like to see another Q&A? And if so, what is your Q that you would like an A?
Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel and hit that bell notification so you get notified every single time that I upload. If you want to check out more of my social medias, they are both Madick_Wesig at both Twitter and Instagram. And you can check out my awesome hubby at TigerNate on YouTube, where he does video gaming, as well as Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Love you all. Mwah.